Welcome to a new segment by B3 Comics where we look at the best of the rest from our pull list.
So first up, we're going to take a look at Captain America number 2. We rejoin Cap 1 year later, and he's got his now-grown son, Ian, and they're traveling across Dimension Z before they're captured by some local inhabitants. So what do you think now that Cap has a son?
Well, I think it's great. We talked about it in our original review for Captain America number 1, how this series might actually delve into Captain America's family life. We see a flashback in this, and I think it's great he has a son. He's
going
going
to get out with this son and then take him back to Earth and raise him with Sharon? Or,
yeah, I mean, wouldn't that be interesting?
Unless he's going to die right here.
I don't think he's going to die. They're not going to kill a kid off right now. Like, how old is this kid? Like, he was a baby last time. It's been a year.
Yeah.
Is he like a toddler? The art sort of misleads me.
And since he's genetically enhanced, he might age differently.
Oh, that's very true.
It doesn't really matter. The more important fact is Cap kind of is being a father.
If he does age differently, maybe in later Marvel comics, you're just going to see a younger version of Captain America. This guy's going to grow into another Captain America. And Steve Rogers is just going to be more and more of a Nick Fury type as opposed to...
Well, I was thinking another potential possibility is if this kid ages faster, he might live out his entire lifespan in Dimension Z, and he'll die as Cap makes it back to Earth, and it'll just be like
a traumatizing experience that's going to run throughout Rick Remender's run on Cap.
Who knows?
Yeah. We'll see.
So as a grade, what would you give this issue?
I'd give it a 3, and overall, nothing really happened. They just sort of walked a while, then they got captured. The big thing was, they got a kid.
Yeah, I completely agree, but I'd give it a 3.5. So next up, we're going to take a look at Green Lantern New Guardians number 15. And we see Kyle trying to master all the different colors of the spectrum. So far, he's mastered all of them except for love and greed. So now he's going to LaFreeze to see if he can master avarice. So what did you think of seeing Kyle channel all these different colors when the Third Army started attacking LaFreeze's
base? It was
base?
definitely cool just to look at the art itself because you see all the different colors and all the different powers that they're associated with.
And I just loved how it was so cool how he was able to utilize all of them. Like, he was teleporting around using indigo, and then he was, he would go red and start throwing up on people. And it was also so great how he just decides to steal LaFreeze's lantern, and that's how he masters avarice or greed.
To me, that's kind of, I don't know, it just seems kind of like a lame way for him. One, it's kind of lame that he's the one that just knows how to use all these different powers. Like, he's the one that can...
Well, it's because he's a different lantern. He carried them through the darkness, like when he was the only lantern. Although, in this issue, I think it's important to note, it seems like they seem to try to establish that Kyle's New 52 backstory wasn't that he was the only lantern. It's slightly different, because I think there was a scene where it showed him being trained by Kilowog, which never actually happened pre-New 52.
Okay, so even then, so he's still special for some reason, and I don't particularly like that. I think the Green Lantern's all about being a core,
Fair enough.
He's trying to be an individual here.
Fair enough.
So as a grade, what'd you give this?
I'd give this issue a 4. I just really like... Kyle Rayner is probably one of my favorite comic book characters. Just, I have like a sentimental attachment to him. And it's just so cool seeing him just like handle all that power.
I give it a 3 just because I have some reservations about how he has all that power. In Cable and the X-Force number 2, we rejoin Cable as he again seems to be dying. Meanwhile, Hope seems to rejoin the ranks of the heroes, saving people from the transmode virus in Miami. So the big thing to come out of this issue is that Cable seems to be dying again, and what do you think that's going to have an effect on Hope?
Well, Cable always seems to be dying, and I'm sure they'll find a way out of it, as they normally do. But I think the bigger question for Hope is... we see that Cable's team is actually going to do some pretty underhanded stuff. They're going to find themselves at odds with the Uncanny Avengers. And Hope is now... She's almost... They called her the Mutant Messiah. The news did. So yeah. She's incredibly popular in this world. The Avengers love her. The general population seems to like her, which, the general population doesn't seem to like mutants. So is she going to stay with her father, or is she going to...
Well, it seems like Cable... At the very end, when Domino sort of questions Cable just walking away, it seems like Cable's almost alienating her again. And so maybe she won't be really a part of the team for a while. Maybe she'll join back up later, or there'll just be some side story going on where Cable is coming, or Cable and Hope's relationship is just tested by Cable's unwillingness to sort of open up to her.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of question marks still left.
Definitely. At the end, we finally see how Colossus is going to be involved in this whole thing.
And just like everybody else's powers who was touched by Phoenix, he also seems to be having problems with his.
Yeah, it seems to be a thing that's happening across all X titles. All right, so a grade for this one?
I would give this one a 3. It was kind of cool to see Hope just being adored by everyone. But besides that, it was just pretty standard, being a hero.
I agree. 3 for me as well. So in Avengers number 2, we see more world building as we see the origins of Aleph, Ex Nihilo, and Abyss, as well as we see how the recruitment of all this expanded Avengers team takes place. In the end, we're prepped for issue number 3 where they're going to finally clash. So, do you think they have a shot next issue?
I'm completely unsure. I mean, there's definitely some incredibly powerful people in this roster, but I mean, they're a new team.
Yeah.
And they're going essentially against, some pretty powerful old godlike entities.
I really like it's intriguing, the origins for Aleph and all of them, because he seems to be created as a builder by the universe, which I guess it is an old god, we have to assume. And then he sort of just births these two creatures that are, creative and destructive. And it's very interesting. Very mythological.
I mean, I don't think they're just going to roll over the next issue. I think this conflict is going to go on for a while.
Yeah, that's true. But they had an interesting conversation with Thor in this where they even talk about Thor's different than the others just because he's a god, and so that's how they can relate. And do you think they're going to be freed next issue, at least, so they have the full roster going eventually?
I don't think they'll be freed. I think the whole point of the kind of Wake the World initiative is so that these other people can take a role as saviors of the world. If it just comes to them freeing the original Avengers, and then these original Avengers beat up the bad guys, then Wake the World's pointless.
I guess that's very true. And you still need to see some growing pains just for the character development of all these characters, because there's so many.
Yeah, I love the recruitment scenes. It was great seeing Sunspot and Cannonball, how they're like, oh, I got a call from Wolverine, and like, no, we're not going to go join the X-Men. I've been there, done that, and they're like, it was the Avengers, and I'm like, oh, I'm back in, they're jumping on the bandwagon. They only want to go...
Just when mutants get an even worse name, they were like, yeah, let's go somewhere else.
Yeah. They're taking their talents elsewhere.
Alright, what did you give this as a grade?
I'd give this issue as a grade of 4.
I give it a 4 as well. Great writing by Hickman, and of course, great art by Opinion. So that's the end of this new B3 Comics segment.
Please leave your comments below on any of the comics we talked about today.
Please subscribe, and thanks for watching.